Released in 2001 by Konami, Silent Hill 2 is revered for its masterful storytelling, psychological depth, and terrifying atmosphere. At the heart of this experience lies James Sunderland, a man driven by a letter from his dead wife to the fog-covered town. But who is James really? And how does his journey through Silent Hill force him to confront the darkest parts of himself? Today we're diving deep into James's story to explore how his experiences shape him and the haunting revelations that follow. There is a lot to unpack here, so expect spoilers and touching on sensitive subjects. Let's take a look. Silent Hill 2 introduces us to James Sunderland, a man haunted by grief and mystery. 3 years after his wife Mary's death, James receives a letter from her, drawing him back to the eerie town of Silent Hill. Desperate for answers, he ventures into the fog, but what he finds there forces him to confront himself in ways he never expected. James's journey stems from unresolved grief and guilt over Mary's death, a painful process that becomes Silent Hill's dark heart. When the player is first introduced to James, we are shown his reflection in the mirror first, indicating a sort of duality to his personality. He does a sort of reality check by touching his face before proceeding on with his journey, foreshadowing his mental state of being unable to determine fantasy from reality. James's inner turmoil takes form in Silent Hill, a town known to reflect the deepest fears and memories of those who enter. In James's case, it's a twisted exploration of guilt, longing, and suppressed anger. Silent Hill presents James's guilt and inner demons as physical manifestations. Monsters like the lying figures and the iconic pyramid head symbolizes James's buried emotions and aggression. The lying figures, appearing restrained in a body bag, represents Mary lying on the bed and also her dead body. Its contorting animations meaning patient in pain, according to Masahiro Ito. The pyramid head, a brutal figure, is often interpreted as James's desire for punishment. He embodies James's self-hatred and urges toward retribution, punishing him for his sins in twisted, violent encounters. In some ways, Pyramid Head is a part of James's psyche, trying to help him remember what he has done and come to terms with his actions. Alongside these horrific creatures, James encounters Maria. Maria is a seductive yet unstable doppelganger of Mary, embodying James's idealized yet distorted version of his wife. Unlike Mary, she's flirtatious, contrasting with his wife's reserved nature during her illness. Her role is a complicated one, but I have covered that in another video if you want to know more about her. Being the most sentient manifestations, she has her own agenda and serves as more of an antagonist, trying to delay James from remembering what he did or why he came to the town in the first place. You could think of Pyramid Head and Maria as the red and blue pill. Pyramid Head, also known as the red pyramid thing, is the red pill and the choice of learning the unsettling truth of James's reality. Or Maria as the blue pill, to continue on with the delusion and denial, and Silent Hill is kind of the Matrix. Okay, that may be a little bit of a stretch, but I thought it was a pretty good comparison. The game's climax brings James to a horrifying revelation. His actions led to Mary's death. Haunted by her illness and suffering, he ended her life, perhaps out of mercy or perhaps from his own frustration and helplessness. The exact reasons remain somewhat ambiguous, with Silent Hill urging players to confront this moral complexity. The weight of his actions come crashing down, pushing James to confront whether he can forgive himself or be consumed by guilt forever. Once he does remember what he did, the letter that brought him into the town in the first place has now disappeared. The truth is, it never existed. Silent Hill 2's multiple endings depend on the player's choices and actions, reflecting how James's psyche resolves the intense journey. Depending on how he interacts with Maria or processes memory, James might leave Silent Hill with acceptance or succumb to despair. Each ending reveals a possible outcome for James, from facing redemption to eternal suffering, emphasizing the game's psychological depth and its exploration of guilt, memory, and forgiveness. There is a long-running fan theory that James is stuck in some kind of time loop, a never-ending cycle, which is somewhat hinted at by the bodies found throughout the town looking just like James. And more recently in the remake, players have discovered the true meaning behind the strange photos, which could be determined as confirmation that James is indeed stuck in a loop, or just a simple nod to the fan theory. The in-water ending is generally considered canon, with James even saying, "Now I understand the real reason I came to this town. I wonder what I was afraid of. Without you, Mary, I've got nothing. Now we can be together," before driving into the lake, suggesting that James intended to go to Silent Hill with Mary to commit the act of Muri Shinju, a ritualistic form of murder-suicide. It is also hinted that James may have been battling with thoughts of suicide throughout the story, as in order to get the in-water ending, James, or rather the player, needs to act reckless by not paying attention to his health and examine the knife that Angela gives you. By the player seemingly not caring about James's well-being, this reflects the notion that if you don't care, then why would he? Ultimately, it is down to the player to determine his fate. James Sunderland's journey through Silent Hill remains a haunting reflection of guilt, trauma, and self-acceptance. The horror he faces mirrors his own darkest fears, forcing players to grapple with the nuances of human emotion and the weight of personal responsibility. Unlike most other protagonists in the series, James is probably one of the most complex characters, and I dare say not really the protagonist. As Ernest Baldwin tells Maria in the sub-scenario Born from a Wish, James is a bad man. His story continues to captivate and disturb, cementing Silent Hill 2 as one of gaming's most unforgettable psychological narratives. I could talk about James and Silent Hill 2 all day, and really just scratch the surface in this video, so let's continue this in the comments below. I would love to hear what you think about James. Thank you so much for watching this bite-sized lore from Game Rant. I've been Aimee, and I'll see you next time in our special place. Bye for now.